Now, Britain could be facing power cuts and blackouts this winter as a worst-case scenario, with the government said to be planning for a shortfall of electricity. This all comes as energy bills are forecast to hit more than £4,200 in January. That's more than double what they are today. It's all incredibly grim. Janet, you remember this in the 70s, where there was a blackout for several days of the week. What are your memories on that? And do you feel like we should all be worried at this point? We're certainly all being geared up to be.
I don't think we should be too worried. When this morning we started talking about blackouts and the producer turned to me and went, well, Janet, you tell us about them. I thought, hello, that was 50 years ago. And, you know, I might have been on Mastermind, but I can't remember every single thing that happened. So I turned back to my memoir and I found out what I was actually doing in 1972 when the blackouts were first happened. Now, that back then, that was because of the miners' strike. The National Miners' Union went out on strike and picketed power stations. And from 1972, there were power shortages and blackouts. At that time, the first time it happened, I was a fashion journalist on the Evening Standard. I thought, power blackout. So I went and bought a generator because the power was turned off and television stations turned off at 10:30 at night. Shops were only allowed to operate with reduced power and so on. And I remember when the blackouts came, I had to decide, am I going to have a one-bar fire on in my flat in Chelsea or dry my hair? I remember, you know, stocking up on loads of candles. But out of the blackouts came the miners' strike went on, and then we went into the three-day week in 1973. Well, by then, I was launching a radio station, LBC. So we...
How old were you then? About 10?
No! But then I was a bit more used to deprivation. But looking back at what happened during the three-day working week was that, as per usual, the first thing that shops ran out of was, hold the front page, toilet rolls.
What is it about that?
What is it about toilet rolls? You're faced with a national emergency and you run out and buy something to wipe your bum with. I can't... Sorry if I've said that word in daytime television.
I think we're fine.
You can see bum.
Is bum on the list?
Yeah.
OK, that's fine then. But the reason why we might have a power shortage at the moment is because a small percentage of our energy comes from Russia. And we're obviously the government, with the war continuing in Ukraine, is worried about whether we'll suffer a shortfall in energy. So at the moment, even though neither of the Tory candidates seem to want to take on the challenge of telling people how they're going to cope with energy prices rising to a record high and how they're going to cope with the possibility of power cuts, I think it is a real issue. But the government is secretly planning a strategy. They don't seem to want to be very public about it. But in other countries, they've been quite open about it. In Japan, people have already been told, turn off your lights and air conditioning unless it's absolutely necessary. In Germany, they've told housing associations, reduce the amount of hot water you use, and the whole German population's been ordered to take shorter showers. Swimming pools have turned off their heating. And in Australia, they've already told people, try not to all use electricity between 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock at night. That's the kind of thing that I think will happen here. So honestly, there's no need to panic if we just are sensible about it. And I do think if the reasons are explained to people properly about why energy might be reduced at certain times of the day, people will accept it.
But I think that's it. I mean, I was obviously 15 then, and I don't remember it at all. But it's interesting hearing you, because you're so informed on it, because we are living in a world that is just one disaster after another, it seems, and the fear-mongering is out there, because back in 1973, we didn't have rolling news, breaking news, we didn't have social media. At the moment, we are experiencing a massive mental health fallout because of the terror. You and I said this morning, you watch breakfast television, you're in quite a good mood. You come in here and you're absolutely
I was in such a bad mood by the time I got to work.
Because you think you're a pensioner living alone, or you're someone with a young family, and all you're told about is blackouts, be scared, be scared. People don't understand them. It sounds as if we may all be plunged into darkness within our own home. You know, I mean...
But hang on a minute. Back in 1973, when I went to work, let's be perfectly clear, there was a climate of fear because the IRA were detonating bombs in central London, and they had a campaign specifically against the media, and letter bombs were posted to journalists, and all our posts had to go through scanning machines. So don't think back then there wasn't a kind of quite an attitude of fear.
There wasn't every single time you pick up your phone, you turn the television on, you pick up a paper. It's one thing. It was COVID, then it was the war, which I'm not saying that anybody's to blame for this, but now it's the blackout. Now there's another thing called shrew flu. It's coming from China. It's like, please, the World War II morale was about keeping morale up.
All right, keep your morale up by having a shorter shower. I never even knew people could stand in a shower for 10 minutes. Surely they turn into shriveled prunes.
That was what slightly annoyed me the other week, where it's in sort of the south of England, talking about hosepipe bans and, you know, the rivers running dry, which is all obviously happening. But I was up outside Liverpool. It was biblical amounts of rain.
Yeah, and has been for months.
And has been. And I know back in Northern Ireland, this is the first week of sun they've had all summer.
Well, they don't understand the heat wave warnings in Northern Ireland, do they? Because they just think we've had no sun.
Absolutely. So it's very difficult. And like you say, if you're being bombarded with news all the time, but you sit at home thinking, I can't do anything about it.
Right, Colleen, put a smile on your face.
I can't after that conversation. I've blacked out. I've been in a blackout for the last 5 minutes.
It's a survival mechanism, isn't it?
I'm so bored of it all.
This is the thing, though, isn't it? That's then the level you get to, and you think, but
nothing I can do about it.
Exactly. It's very, very difficult, isn't it? Will we try and cheer everybody up?
Yes, please.
Will we talk about the word evolving?
I never thought I'd be the smiley one.
We need to evolve into happy people.
I'll be bold.
Strange times, folks.